I am Rainey of the Just Barbarian Things podcast, and today I'm here to play Orrery of the Wanderer, the adventure included in the Acquisitions Incorporated book with my friends. To my left, Santiago playing Warforged Fighter, Carl 14.
Pleased to meet your acquaintance, everyone. Like usual, I haven't come up with a character voice yet, so this might evolve over the course of the game. We'll see what happens.
It is always fun when your character voice changes.
Yeah, I know. Just apropos of nothing. Everyone's lost, no idea what's going on.
And to the left of my left, we have Jessica playing Verdan Rogue, Duck.
Quack.
It's a cute animal. It's a sound piece of advice.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Just duck is so versatile.
I think so. I'm happy.
If you fry French fries in duck fat, they are amazing.
That's true.
That kind of sounds amazing.
Yeah, we'll hit up Cogstone sometime and you can have some,
we can get some after.
Oh, yeah. With the salsa there, isn't that place?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty good.
It'll be fun.
All right. For those of you not familiar with Acquisitions Incorporated, it is a Dungeons and Dragons setting that focuses on playing in a corporation that does adventuring professionally. So characters are going to have roles within the company at certain points, which give them extra abilities and stuff. And generally, it's pretty silly compared to some settings in Dungeons and Dragons. For those of you already part of the Shadow Council, may our labors please you, and forgive me for trying to summon some of Jerford K. Horcrum's DM Daddy energy with that intro. So,
DM Daddy.
He is the DM Daddy. Yeah.
Sexy.
Spank it.
He doesn't like it when they call him that, but they do.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You guys, stop.
Not for the recording.
All right, today we'd like to thank our patrons that were in July. We're in our Rage in the Machine level. So Alan M. and Jesse M. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you are interested in joining their ranks and supporting us in helping us play new adventures and all sorts of fun stuff, you can check us out on patreon.com/justbarbarianthings.
You never know what might happen.
All right, I have to pre-get some of the potential handouts you may have in this section, just to get them ready over here.
Nerd pre-gaming. It's not drinking before you hit the club. It's getting handouts before you hit the adventure.
Did you just come up with that, or have you been saving it?
I was off the dome.
Nice.
Off the dome, baby.
I like it.
So before we get too far into this, since I told you there's going to be handouts,
Yes.
since you're a corporation, you need a file system.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
So I have made you this lovely file folder.
Oh my god, you're so organized. I love it. It's like rainbow and everything.
This is Duck's file for all your character-related stuff. Yay. Got Carl 14. Got employee profiles go here. Maps, franchise or quest-specific information, and general information.
I can feel like how like glowy and like excited my face is right now.
Look how awesome this thing is, because you pop it open, and then you're like...
Oh no, it's great. No, it is very cool. Where'd you get it?
How it's all very...
So like we went school supply shopping, so I got some. Yeah,
shopping.
it's the best.
It
I
is. It
lived
totally
off
is.
the bag of school supplies that you gave us for 2 semesters before we had to go shopping for me, at least.
Because you gave us your like extra like.
Oh, because I had like when I moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had like doubles of like all. Because
Yeah.
I love school shopping.
Yes.
It's bad. This is very fancy.
That thing is awesome.
All right.
I love it.
So you are both. You've traveled to Waterdeep, so I'm going to give you the map of the region. And this is, you'll notice Waterdeep's at the bottom of the coast there. That's where you guys are currently.
You are here.
But we will use that to talk about where you're headed in future parts of the adventure.
Okay.
Yes. And any handout that I give you, any piece of paper you get, you guys can write on or note on or whatever you need to.
Thank you.
Those are yours.
You know how I know that I can do that?
Because you did already?
Because I can do that.
Right, here's your calendar. We decided that we have started in the month of Myrtul, the melting, which is our rainy spring season. So there is your calendar.
So it's mere tool showers bring Kythorn flowers.
Yeah.
The time of flowers.
Yeah.
Oh, hey!
Coincidence? No, not even a little bit.
No, that's what we picked that way because you said April showers bring May flowers, so we picked the April equivalent in our Farunian calendar. So that's where we are. We're kind of like start of spring, kind of mid-spring, if you will. You'll notice that months in Faerun, for those of you not familiar, are basically like 3 weeks long, but you'll notice that instead of a week being 7 days, they're a 10-day. So you'll notice that people don't call them weeks, they call them 10 days. And it's literally, instead of Monday through Sunday or whatever, it's first day, second day, third day.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's very straightforward. Big holidays usually occur actually between the months, so they're not on the calendar proper. So you'll notice right before this month, there was a big holiday festival between those 2 months. So the next month doesn't start until the festival is over.
Right on.
So it's pretty neat. All right, so you are in Waterdeep. Again, it's the big kind of coastal trade city on the Sword Coast. You'll see all sorts of races, all sorts of stores and markets and things. It's a really easy place to find things that you need. But it also, as the big city, is a location that is home to a lot of these big corporations that do adventuring. And you both know that as new adventurers, one of the ways to get access to better jobs, better funds, and kind of access to more services and things like that is to get in with one of these corporations. So that's what you're here doing. So this is, in case you need to reference it at some point, the map of Waterdeep proper, the City of Splendors.
So as far as like in this world, Waterdeep is like the biggest city? Like cities were on levels, or is it like a...
So I would say in this area, Waterdeep is the biggest city, for sure. There are other trade cities. Waterdeep is definitely like the big one, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you have Neverwinter to the north, you also have Baldur's Gate, but they're not quite as fantastic as Waterdeep is.
Sure.
All right. So, that's basically what we're looking at with that one. So,
Running around in Waterdeep,
yes.
if we ran into a completely adorable but horribly deformed goblin named Leica Baus, that would be such an amazing coincidence.
It could happen.
If we ran into Leica doing her thing.
So, you guys have been asking around because you can't just walk in usually to the headquarters of these adventuring corporations. You need to find an inn. So you've been talking to people, or at least listening to people, as you've been going through this area. So I need you each to roll a d12 to see what sort of things you might have heard about happening in town.
Oh!
And each roll a d12. So I just need my whole set out, basically.
Get your dice together, God.
Yeah, prepare thyself.
You know, you didn't roll a Valigor character yet, so...
Hey, we don't know what Duck actually sounds like.
That's
She
true.
could be a Valley Girl Verdan.
Yeah.
A Verdandigal girl.
Oh my God.
That's actually true.
That might be what they sound like.
I'm just struggling to not mix it up a lot.
Hey guys! I'm back again! I'm the same character with a different skin! I made a deal!
Dirty little kobold.
AKA the awesomest character ever.
Who even
Nyx is great.
Nyx was such a rad character that the miniature for Nyx
Created
was
stealth.
was dropped on the floor and immediately disappeared into another realm.
That was so sad.
Alright.
At least we have a picture. We have
That's
like a
true.
really good high-res picture.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
That's true.
I like to think she's in a better place.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm rolling a d12, you said?
Yes.
1.
You've heard, Carl 14, that Omendron is one of the fabled masked lords of Waterdeep. And his presence on the council has created great changes throughout the city in a good way. You know that Omendron is the CEO of Acquisitions Incorporated, which is one of the big corporations you guys are looking at. But that's what you've heard. Rumor has it, he's one of the masked lords of Waterdeep, which is part of their governance, basically.
Right.
All right, what was your D12?
I was trying to strategically turn my page.
No, you can.
6.
6. You've heard that a killer is stalking the streets of the North Ward, killing people in daylight. From the rumors, it's said that the victims' feet are chopped off, as if by a powerful blow with a sharp blade, and then they're decapitated. But the heads are left behind, the feet are taken.
Sounds familiar. Sort of a lewd calling card, you might say. So they cut the feet off and
Yes.
they leave the heads?
Yeah. They cut the feet and the heads off, but
Yeah.
they leave the decapitated head with the body.
And they take the feet. What the fuck are you gonna do with feet?
So those are some of the rumors you've heard while you're asking around. But eventually, part of your asking around, which is probably mostly Duck, with Carl 14 just sort of following behind and glaring at things.
Yeah, are you glary? Are you like, not like shiny glary?
Well, it looks kind of like this,
Oh, okay.
except much more colorful, and he wears some clothes.
Oh, okay.
So this is the general appearance. This hulking metal monstrosity. The exposed parts of the wooden fibers are lacquered a shiny blood red.
Oh.
So shiny that it almost looks wet, where it hasn't been chipped or damaged or similar. And the clothes he wears are around his waist, almost in a kilt-like fashion, is a scrap of banner from his old regiment that he has that is a keepsake, held in place by about 4 long belts, like Game of Thrones styles belts,
Sure.
where it goes around your waist, has a ring, and then has the hang down. So there's like 4 of those dangling, and from those he has a few daggers and a matched set that is a short sword and a dagger that are very ornate, and when held up together appear to resemble the jaws of some great carnivorous beast. But other than that, he doesn't appear to have any visible weapons or anything like that.
Okay.
And he's very colorful for a Warforged. He's not your typical drab gunmetal and red.
Right.
His colors are vibrant in this gleaming steel with red accent, and along each sharp edge there's black and gold trim with a ridged, like, mohawk of almost Predator style dreadlocks that are black and red with gold, like, crimped cylinder style beads along them.
You know, if
so
you
he's
could
very
maybe just put some thought into your character,
flamboyant.
so like you haven't, you know,
I don't have
You're not
a very
prepared at all.
active imagination.
Yeah.
I can't come
Maybe we
up
could do
with
some
stuff. I
exercises for
just, yeah.
No, that sounds really cool. I like it. I wasn't picturing that. But is he scary looking, like, or is he just kind of neutrally?
I would say that he has a permanent scowl on his
Okay.
face. His, like, resting bitch face, just like in the same sense that Iron Man has that, like, perpetual like frown, like
Right.
he's concentrating on a school project or something like that. Like that sort of look, but it's not a particular animosity, because when you look at everything like it's a threat, then nothing is.
Right.
That's just how he looks.
That's fair. All right.
But he is very, like, holy shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he had any idea that it necessarily mattered or was a right or wrong thing to do or whatever, he might, like, buy, like, a big old cloak to drape himself in. But thought hasn't even occurred to him. He kind of strides around 7 feet tall, hulking and huge, just tromps down the street like he owns the place.
Fair. And he wears a kilt,
Yeah.
which works because I play bagpipes.
Yeah, that's true. So, Duck, Jessica's character, for those of you who are not patrons and didn't hear our character creation episode, is a Verdan, which is the new race for Acquisitions Incorporated, which is goblin-like with jade-colored skin. So where did you put yourself on the height range for those guys? Are you a shorter?
Shorter, yeah. She's about
So
3
closer
feet.
to about 3 feet?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a little bit of an odd couple here, but the adorable kind.
Mm-hmm.
So your inquiries into internships and like franchise opportunities with Acquisitions Incorporated have actually gone better than you could even hope they would. There are some ridiculous rumors that you heard while you were asking around that interns at AC Inc. aren't always treated well, that they die at an alarming rate, you know, that sort of thing. But you don't really believe any of that because you got into the head office and so far everyone there is being really nice to you, even treating you with kind of like deference, referring to you as like honored heroes and things like that. And you're shown into this elegant conference room. You're given food and drink, whether or not you eat or drink, like high quality oil and lubricants.
I didn't know it was going to be that kind of party. I left that attachment in.
And you are asked very politely to wait to speak with none other than Omen Drawn, founder and CEO of this organization, to be requested to work with Acquisitions Incorporated. They're so happy to have you here. And so you are waiting in this boardroom style conference room right now in this building. So I'll give you, this is an idea of kind of like what sort of area / building you are in.
This is kind of what it sort of looks like.
Santa makes fun of me because I say kind of all the time. Or kinda.
So it doesn't actually look like
No,
this.
it's kind of like that.
It's kind of.
It's like a tribute.
Sort of.
Yeah. This is not the building. This is just a tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. Gotta believe me.
Yeah.
I wish you were there. It's just a matter of opinion. Don't make me get into song lyrics. I'll do it. So is there anything you want to do before anyone else enters the room?
I mean, this is where we've tried it. Like, we want
Yeah.
to be here. It's not like we...
This is where you've been trying to get in. And
Yeah.
it worked pretty quick.
Yeah. So I think I feel pretty good about that.
I'm going to. Are you sitting down in like a little?
Well, you said they brought like
Sure.
food and stuff, right?
So it's like a big boardroom table, and there's like these platters of like meats and cheeses and fruits and like pickled fish and dried fish and like all sorts of like local delicacies. There's crafts of wine and things like that. Just very.
I think I got real excited about the food, but I'm just like kind of just like delicious and checking everything out. And,
Sampling the various delicacies.
yeah. And I'm not always like up with what's actually food, so I'm like, oh, a napkin.
Yeah,
I'm
like-
kind of like Maisie.
There's like garnish and stuff, like
Yeah.
flowers and vases, and you're
Parsley
eating
and them.
those. Yeah.
So good.
So it isn't long before the door to this conference room opens and an intense looking half elf in plate armor enters. He looks something like this.
Kind of looks like this.
Oh, I like his nose.
He wears a holy symbol of Timora, the goddess of fortune, around his neck. This is Omen Drawn. Or if you want his full name, Ominifus Hereward Drawn. With no introduction, you know that this is the CEO of Acquisitions Incorporated because he walks in and stands directly in front of that portrait which hangs on the wall in the conference room behind him. He looks just like the picture. Now, he just starts speaking. He doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't ask for your names. He just says, "Thank you for answering my call so quickly. When the earthquake struck the city 2 days ago, the damage was pretty limited, but a sinkhole opened up and a fissure beneath an abandoned warehouse in the dock ward sort of happened, and a couple of city watch guards went in to investigate and never came out. They're feared dead. The city watch has asked me to take over the investigation. My schedule's sort of complicated at the moment, so I'm delegating that job to you. As an experienced adventuring group such as you are, I have no doubt you can handle the task."
All right.
So
that
then-
sounds fair enough, straightforward.
He
enough.
drops a hefty bag of coins on the table. or dice in my case, because I don't have clones.
A whole hefty bag. That's a lot.
And he says, the pay is 500 gold dragons for the group. 20% commission, of course, going to Acquisitions Incorporated as the broker. But I figure that's a fair price for a group as experienced as you are. I just need you to go to the warehouse. It's next to Jolly's Lamp Emporium down by the docks. Tell the guards there that I sent you and explore the fissure. If you can figure out what happened to the guards, that would be great. And come back to me with the signed city watch papers saying you completed your investigation. Then you'll be paid.
So the bag of gold is like the retainer or something like that? Or is it just a show that it's there, then he's going to take it back?
Are you asking that? Because he just dropped a bag of gold on the table, basically.
Right.
With
like,
500
well,
gold pieces, which locally in Waterdeep are called gold dragons because they have dragons on them.
Oh.
So we have to return with a signed City Watch document.
Yep.
All right.
He says, thank you again. I know not your entire organization, whole group could be here, but with your experience, I'm sure 2 of you will be fine. Thank you so much. I'm sure you know your way. And he just walks out of the room.
All right.
No, like was over
good.
with my like cheeks like totally puffed out with like stuffed olives or something. Like looking over at the bag of gold.
I will step towards the bag of gold, reach out towards it, look at Duck, look back at the bag of gold, hand hovering near it, looking at Duck, looking over at it, kind of like very much in a Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover moment with the equations flying past my face of if I had a console, the screen might be blue with a little frowny face on it as I'm stuck between do I take it or do I leave it? And that's kind of where I'm stuck.
And I'm still mouthful, just gonna be like, grab it, big guy, let's go.
And with that, I'll snatch it up.
All right, so you try to grab the bag, but you find that it's stuck fast to the table. And when you touch it, a magical voice rings out. Per contract, gold is awarded upon submission of required forms signed by City Watch.
I'd like to see how fast this bag of gold is stuck to this table.
Okay.
Just purely out of curiosity.
Okay.
Just to see where we're at with that.
So you're making a strength check?
Yeah, because I've tried to lift it, and this ethereal voice said, you can't have it till you bring this back.
Right.
And there's going to be, Carl's knees sort of bend, his hips sink into it, and you hear the servos and the hydraulics straining with it as he tries to really, really put his might into it to see what happens.
We lifted the whole table by the bag.
Yeah.
2 of the floor stones.
With me on the table.
Alright, so that is a 19.
Yeah. I mean, basically that you grab the bag, you're like lifting, the table starts to tilt, the food starts sliding towards the end of the table. And then there's a puff of smoke in the room. And as the haze disappears, as you're still like gripping onto this bag, which does not seem to be moving, a handsome figure steps forward. And he moves to stand a little bit left of where Omen was. And he's wearing glasses because he thinks he's in disguise. But the problem is where he's standing. It's pretty obvious who this is. This is Jim Darkmagic, one of the head people in Acquisitions Incorporated under Omen Drawn. And he says, I know when you know. Don't worry about it. But I couldn't help but notice you seem a little flustered as you're like still holding on to this bag.
So I want to say that the table is lifted up a few inches from the ground, and it's a big, heavy mahogany wood sort of whatever table. It's not a slouch folding table.
Right.
This is a fancy rich people table.
It's a boardroom conference table.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's being held aloft from one end with the food sliding, and you have duck like scrambling to get some of the boiled prawns or whatever as they slide past. I mean, free scrimps. Let's not fuck around.
Nobody's gonna shake hands with that.
And Carl will look up at this apparition and blink twice and let it go, letting the table fall to the ground with a thump.
Okay.
And just at that point, kind of step back as in I understand gesture. I need to, I know what I need to do to get this lawfully. I was just curious about it because it was a curiosity. I couldn't lift it off of there with a casual lift. What happens if I really give it a good try? And I found out.
And you see that Jim takes his hands out from under his cloak as he does with a flourish. You can see he has a wand on either hip. And he gestures dramatically and says, "Jim's mage hand," and catches the food before it falls onto the floor and scoots it back onto the table.
I love how Star Trek it is, where the head honchos see to everything, even the finest minutiae of day-to-day business. The Grand High Doodahs see to all the little details.
Indeed. I know that Omen just offered you work, and I also have the feeling that you might not be the adventurers he thinks you are.
Carl will raise one mechanical eyebrow and cross his arms in a very oh, really?
You see, there was supposed to be this party that was supposed to get this magic sending message spell thing to invite them to come handle this quest, and I think someone forgot to do it. And then somebody told the secretariat when you guys wandered in that maybe you were those people, and so you want my advice? It would just be, this is a great opportunity. He doesn't know, and, by the time he figures it out, if you've just finished the quest, then you'll be in a great position.
Okay, so that makes more sense. So instead of a very umbrage taking, "Oh, really? We're not the adventurers you think we are," kind of response, then Carl will get what he's saying instead of arms crossed in a b-boy kind of stance. It's more of a point and where you do the whole nose thing that people do from antiquity to indicate, "I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I smell what you're stepping in," as Jess said earlier.
Smell what you're stepping in. Picking up what you're putting down.
So if you've ever heard, the phrase opportunity knocks, just consider this opportunity heading to your door with a battering ram. Just don't stand in that doorway, friends. That's all I'm saying. Let opportunity smash its way in. Don't worry about how this happened. It's gonna work out.
So I'll favor Jim with one finger pistol and a wink, trying to emulate the wink of his that I've seen on various advertisements since coming into the city.
He says, my signature. And he reaches in his pocket for a random thing, and you see he writes Jim Winks on it, and he is gonna give you...
There's so many cool little Easter eggs. It's like a video game.
There, gives you this.
What?
Dang.
So it's one of his signature spells, not one that obviously already exists. What is the scroll that he gives you?
He gives me a scroll of Jim's magic missile.
Not a spell that you need to worry about otherwise. This is Jim's magic missile.
Oh.
It's very different than regular magic missile. Would you like to read the description for Jim's magic missile?
Any apprentice wizard can cast a boring old magic missile. Sure, it always strikes its target. Yawn. Do away with the drudgery of your grandfather's magic with this improved version of the spell, as used by none other than the legendary, the one, the only Jim Darkmagic. You create 3 twisting, whistling, hypoallergenic, gluten-free darts of magical force. Each dart targets a creature of your choice that you can see within range. Make a ranged spell attack for each missile. On a hit, a missile deals 2d4 force damage to its target. If the attack roll scores a critical hit, the target of that missile takes 5d4 force damage instead of you rolling damage twice for a critical hit. If the attack roll for any missile is a 1, all missiles miss their targets and blow up in your face, dealing 1 force damage per missile to you. There's some things that can happen at higher levels, but we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it.
Alright, so that's your signed spell scroll. Something to understand about corporate spells, like this one, is they do have a cost associated with them. So normally scrolls are a free way to cast a spell. This one's cost a little bit of gold as a component for them, just so that royalties get to the right place.
Of course.
All right, these are the general rules for spell scrolls and what the modifiers are and stuff like that. So you have that for your reference. But now you guys have that signed scroll. So there's another dramatic, purplish cloud of smoke. And as he steps back into it, he says, I recommend visiting the intern room. Maybe you'll get a little extra help that you need there. Up to you. You can go it alone. Just remember, opportunity. And he disappears
The intern room.
into the cloud of smoke.
I would like to see if my scanner works.
Okay.
Because Carl 14 was a high-ranking, prominent member of a prestigious elite guard where he's from. And he had far more abilities and was vastly more combat effective. But after traveling through the portal, he finds himself at a much reduced level of combat effectiveness.
Sure.
So when he acquires any new items of a magical nature, he'll try to scan them to see if it unlocks an ability in his arsenal. So I don't know if that's something that would work with a scroll that he could add to that or something like that, where some sort of little launcher would pop out of a shoulder compartment and shoot these magical darts or whatnot, or not, or whatever. But I want to see what happens with that.
So it's not an item that requires attunement that you would normally incorporate, but it is definitely something. It's hard to say how this would manifest out of your form, but either of you could hold and use the scroll as written. Basically, you're going to be reading a spell phonetically because you're not magic users and hoping for the best. But the item itself doesn't seem to mesh in that way.
So upon initial scan, I'll hold the scroll up, a little chest crystal that is the two little crystals on his chest decoration. Send beams out that scan the scroll. It comes back with a null type of value. It just doesn't recognize it as an attunable, upgrade, unlockable item.
Right.
So Carl, it's kind of a piece of paper, really. And he understands that he could read it and do this stuff. But he's like, this isn't really my jam. So look over at Duck, look down at Duck, without looking down at Duck, just
Duck,
literally.
I think, is still on the table amongst the straightened out platters of food. I mean, Waterdeep is basically the Red Lobster of Verdan, so it's a lot of all-you-can-eat shrimp and
Duck's knee-deep in Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Yeah.
Cool. So look over at Duck and toss the scroll over their way, and and add it to your.
I will. I'll take a quick look and
pouch inventory.
Shrug and tuck it in my bag, next to my bagpipes.
All right. So you guys have been given a task to go investigate this sinkhole fissure that's opened up in the dock ward. But you've also been told you can visit the intern room on the way if you like.
I think we should visit the intern room. What do you think?
I also think we should visit the intern room.
Okay, let's go.
You inquire about the intern room. A lower level secretary ushers you over there. Along the way, gets information about the type of intern you might be looking for. And based on your description of wanting someone who can perhaps heal and have some spells at the ready, says, a druid sounds like just what you need. And she takes you to one of the many intern rooms that says druid on the door. When you open it up, there are 2 humanoids inside, playing a game of chess. It seems like waiting for something to do. It's sort of set up almost like a daycare. There's like little games and nap areas and stuff for them to just hang out until they get selected for something. But you do see 2 humanoids in there. You may select one of them to go with you. One of them is a tall, well-muscled male humanoid with blue skin and reddish hair. Everything he wears is like gleaming and kind of ocean themed, like seashells are a common motif. He has sort of like pointed elf-like ears, but they're a little like fin-like. And he greets you with a gracious bow. The other one that is playing chess in this room is a small brown tabby cat humanoid. She gives you a charming smile, and you notice that she has bright purple eyes. And the lower level secretary turns to both of you and says, well, these are our available druids at the time. I can give you paperwork for either one of them, and you can take them along with you on your work here today.
Kitty!
Yeah, I was gonna say, Carl immediately points at the cat person.
All right.
Says, we'll take this one.
Oh, that one.
All right, and so she steps up to you very delicately, silently almost. She says, oh, thank you so very much for picking me to go with you today. I'm so sick of being in this room.
Oh my god, I love her.
She's like, my name is Charm. I'm so happy to meet you both. So let me...
Duck's gonna actually do that. Like, Duck's gonna be so happy.
Welcome to the party. If you die, I will ensure your remains make it back to your specified location.
That sounds very nice of you. Thank you so much.
The poor other guy. He reminded me so much of the journalists from Saga that I was just like, I just immediately don't like that guy. Because
He was a Triton, so he's like a merman, and he talks like
perfect.
Thor, basically. Like, everything is way too fancy.
Exactly.
He's very fun.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't like those guys because their storyline was so boring. To be fair, I did like them because they were a couple in a society that was extremely homophobic, like punishable by death type of situation.
What is this from?
Oh, a comic called Saga.
Okay.
Which is awesome, by the way. And the society that they're from is just horribly, horrifically homophobic, and they had the courage to be a couple in that anyway. And they were a journalist and a photographer by profession, so they worked together a lot. But they were also a couple in a clandestine fashion. So I loved that aspect of their storyline. But otherwise, whenever I turned the page and it was them, I'd just be like, boring. Like, we gotta get the scoop and let's go see the thing. And hey, what a fine hell of beans. And I just like, can I just skip to, okay, here's Marco and Alana again. Awesome. Or Prince Robot and Dango and all that. Like, yes. Like, you know what I mean? The Will and Lion Cat, hell yeah. And don't get me started if it was stock. But the point is, I didn't like that guy because he reminded me of those journalist boring dudes from the comic book.
I'm gonna say that Duck gets like really excited because she's probably never seen. Are they fairly common?
Not in this area. You've seen a few in the city, but not very many.
So I'm
it
gonna get
seems
really
like they're
excited.
probably from somewhere else, yeah.
And because I've seen cats before, and I understand how you approach a cat.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna go up and like let her smell my hand, and then like try and pet her.
All right. So when you lift up your hand to let her smell it, she like grabs it and gives it a little smooch. And she
Oh my
winks
god!
at you.
I'm like, yeah. I get real excited about that, and I love her.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
I have
So
no idea what a Verdan looks like. I need to look that up.
You're like a little goblin, but she has her like ears back together like a little ponytail kind of because they're pierced, and they hold them back together.
So you have really long, floppy ears with piercings that are tied back in a ponytail type of sitch.
Well, my ears that are like, it's like the ears like back and they're like together. Like it's pierced like through them.
Oh,
like,
to hold them back. Okay. That is super cool. One of my favorite webcomics was Goblins.
Oh.
One of the goblins had oversized ears, and he tied them back like a ponytail because they were so huge. Otherwise, you appear vaguely goblin-esque, basically, except your skin is lighter.
And greener. It's
lighter
greener.
and greener, if I remember.
Like jade colored.
Like jade colored. Wow, you're actually really pretty. What's the...
I'm a party goblin.
Yeah, with that charisma score. Dang, okay.
Oh.
That's cool.
Okay. So the secretary sees that you've made your choice, and she's like, perfect, let me give you the employee profile for Charm. Here you are. It's for your files.
Okay, look. Let me hang on to that.
Okay.
And that.
Okay.
So you know what it costs to use that.
Right.
And this will go on top here. I think Rainey's a documenter, actually.
We'll get
That's
to that.
your spell pouch. Okay.
Alright, so that has all your information
Nice.
about her.
Oh, look how awesome she is.
She's so cute.
So awesome looking.
Oh, I love her.
So her name is Brutal Charm, but she goes by Charm. That's a very, Tabaxis these have very descriptive names. They don't tend to have like names proper. Usually they're named for traits or after things that they like. You'll notice it gives you some of her major traits there so that you can be aware of them, as well as at the bottom it gives you an idea of the types of spells or abilities you can ask her to use in your adventures.
She's afraid of chickens.
She is afraid of chickens. So be aware of that, depending on who you choose for what assignment, that could be potentially an issue.
Love it.
Your intern is selected. That's all done. Your assignment requires you both to head to the dock ward. It's a maze of seedy tenements and rough streets full of rough-looking folk and dark alleys. You can see that there's the occasional vendor stall that sells fish or street food. There are a number of taverns, places that sell like bait, repair nets, that sort of thing. All very common in this area. One stall in particular seems interesting as you walk by. It's up to you if you want to stop at it or not. The little banner above the cart says Maps and Potions, P-O-S-H-U-N-S. And you see a young, short-looking humanoid manning a table in front of the cart that has various like clay bottles on it.
Carl walks pretty much behind Duck, not next to you. Just kind of following you around,
Right.
pretty much. So when you stop, he'll stop. When you go, he'll go, and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Just for normal walking around type of shit. If there's another situation that requires specialized reaction or response, he'll do his own thing.
Yeah.
But for just wandering around, he just kind of ambles around behind where you go.
It's like taking a guy shopping.
And I assume that Charm is going to be walking next to you and you might be chatting or whatever. But as far as this booth and whatever is concerned, I don't want to seem like I'm dumping it all on you, but like if you don't stop, he's not going to stop.
Right. I don't feel like, potions and stuff, I don't think I'm super into that.
No.
Let's keep on going.
Okay. So moving past the stall, you're going through these streets that sometimes get more narrow and sometimes widen out. In some places, the buildings have been built so high with just extra levels stacked on top of each other that it kind of darkens the street down below. And you find yourself in an area where you're continuing down these maze-like streets and you feel hands suddenly roughly shove the lot of you into an alleyway.
Well, I don't like that.
And so as you kind of let your eyes adjust to the lighting in this little alley, you see a female form in a long sort of jacket with a rakish hat on her head, and another figure behind her. And let me pull this up and make sure I have the
They pushed all of us, like they pushed Carl too.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
too.
Carl weighs 420 pounds and is carrying 111 pounds worth of shit.
Yeah.
So they just shoved like 530 pounds plus the rest of our party into an alley, which kind of will give a modifier to his combat threat assessment tactical HUD that he has in his vision.
So the main figure that in the long coat that you see standing in front of you as your eyes adjust, you can see that the eyes under the brim of that hat are glowing with a strange light. And as she takes off her hat and kind of tosses it aside to be ready for whatever is to happen next, you see a skeletal face underneath that hat. And the figure speaks and says, "All right then, your money or your lives. So, let's just get on with it then."
So Carl is incapable of feeling fear. He can register threat assessments and so on, but he just literally cannot feel afraid of anything. So he weighs, in a very mathematical sense, the 39 gold that he has in his pouch that he's amassed over his months wandering the roads and all that time invested. No, and also controlling for the sunk cost fallacy.
Right.
And so on. Again, all of these mathematical things happening in his little HUD that he has of whether he should defend himself and his party against this thing or just hand over the gold, and that would be the more practical solution. Like, there you go away. And while he's weighing all of this, he's also looking over at Duck and Charm to see what their reaction is, what direction their reaction is leaning.
I'm trying to think, like, because I know I'm like new to everything.
Right.
So am I, like, do I realize, like, this is not a nice person, like, they're trying to hurt us, or am I, like, I'm not.
If you have Arcana or Religion, you can make one of those rolls to take a look at this figure.
Alright.
Okay. So I'm going to roll a d20 plus whatever that is, right? It's been a minute since I've done this.
Can I make that roll too as part of the, like, combat assessment sort of thing?
I got a 10.
We'll do Arcana. I have 4, so
10 is good enough to let you know a couple of things.
Okay.
This is obviously some sort of undead creature. Like, skeletons aren't normal creatures to be walking around.
Right.
And you don't know how exactly the skeleton is the way that she is, but you know that even with, like, normal necromancy and that sort of stuff, it's not typical to be able to raise a skeleton that can, like, talk and seems to have intelligence and that sort of thing. So there's some weird magic going on here that's making this skeleton gang leader or whatever that can assault you. But no, she definitely seems to be just a bandit of some kind if you're looking at it as far as intentions or whatever. But this is strange magic you haven't seen before that's made a talking skeleton.
Okay. I don't feel like I'm super threatened because I'm with Carl. And I'm just like, I'm pretty okay myself too, so I don't feel like I'm super threatened. I'm more like really curious and fascinated by, like, what is this person or this thing.
Right.
Got it. So, based on Duck's reaction, the person said, your money or your life. Duck seems to be in a very, like, I'm not threatened by you, I'm not paying you anything. So that means the answer to the money or life question is no money, then that means it's lifetime.
Okay.
So based on that, he's going to have to arm himself. So a compartment in his forearm will slide open, and what seems to be a chain of links descends from it and clatters to the floor in an almost unending spill. And it's really almost an arrowhead looking segmented sort of linked chain of blades that, as soon as a sufficient length drops out, snaps into a greatsword and flings itself into his hand, and now he is armed and he's ready to charge at this target, which is what he's going to do at the earliest opportunity.
All right, I need everyone to roll initiative, please.
Oh, I got a 1.
I'm like, no, don't say that. All right. That's okay. I got a 19. So.
Together. Oh, I forgot to add my...
combined.
So 5, I guess, but it doesn't really make a difference.
I was going to say, where's
Yeah.
your little initiative bonus?
There.
Do a +4. Oh, that's right, because your dexterity is 18. God.
All right, so let's see. I need a couple of these.
That's awesome, though.
Dexterous.
Dexterity for the win.
Carl 14, you get to respond first in this encounter.
Right.
What would you like to do?
Carl is a big, hulking, lumbering, slow-looking machine.
Okay.
And so when he moves with an almost blinding speed, it is quite alarming. I was not expecting that wall of metal and shiny blood-looking wood to move with that kind of alacrity. So when he crosses the intervening distance in 2 or 3 swift strides to close with our aggressor, it's like, holy crap, that dude just blinked over there almost. And take a mighty slash with his greatsword at the undead construct.
Okay.
Let's see. What are we dealing with here? Okay, here we go. Great sword. All right, 16 to hit.
That will hit.
All right. I need 2d6 plus 4 for damage. All right, and that is 14 damage.
Okay. All right. So this skeleton creature says your money or your life. And not getting any indicator from your friend that you should do anything else, you take out your sword and slash brutally across this creature, which seems to almost explode into bits of bone and various things. The head rolls slightly away from you, saying, well, that's quite odd then. And you see the 2 other bandits that were with her, not undead, regular old humans, it looks like, kind of move in to close that gap, looking a little unsure. But it looks like the skeleton may be out of commission with the strength of that blow.
All right. And as a bonus action, with my belt pouch of caltrops, I would like to drop caltrops around me.
The caltrops deploy automatically from a compartment on the side of what would be your hip. And you all notice the kind of luminous magical glow of the skeleton's eyes like dim and fade. And then it's Duck's turn. So Duck, you see this skeleton has been exploded into bits, the light goes out, but there are 2 human bandits still standing in your way at the entrance of the alley.
I want to fire off an arrow at one of them.
Okay.
Alright. That plus 6, so 19.
Okay, yeah, that's a hit.
Pew, pew, pew!
You may roll your damage.
Alright, that's going to be 1d6 plus 4 piercing. It's plus 4, 7.
Okay.
I know you're a rogue now, and
Okay.
it's tough, but it gets better.
All right. So, and this is a bow that you're using?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, it says I have a crossbow.
a bolt
bolt, yeah, not an arrow.
sinks deep into the shoulder of one of these bandits, cries out in alarm, and then tries to stifle it as if he's trying not to attract guards or other attention. And then after Duck, it is the bandits. All right, so
Just to clarify our
Yes.
tactical situation here, we were shoved into an alley, which is narrow.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that we were back here like this. I would be first between them, especially because I charged up. So I feel like I'm, I'm between the other two guys
Yes.
and my party members.
yes,
And so if you're going to want to deal with them, you have to get through me.
yeah.
Unless
so
you're ranged.
The first thing that the bandits have to do, because there are caltrops on the ground, is to roll to see if they can avoid them. In this case, both of them failed their dexterity checks, their dexterity saving throws, so they're each going to take 1 piercing damage.
They're poor little feet.
So one has a bolt and a hurdy foot, and the other one just has a hurdy foot right now. So you do notice it seems to slow down their movement a lot as they're like hobbling over these sharp bits. So
Yep.
Bad Legos.
one of them is going to swing at Carl 14 with a scimitar. That will be a 11.
Seems like a real bad move, buddy.
Not quite.
Okay. And so he swings at you, but he's off balance with hurt foot and everything, but he still makes contact. It just rings off, whatever it is that's on the outside of you. And you're not even really worried about defending at this point.
He's standing there in a very Conan sort of pose with the great sword in one hand over the head like this and the other hand out front in a very have at thee type of pose,
Right.
feet wide apart.
The one with the bolt in his shoulder tries to move past Carl to engage with you because you put a bolt in his shoulder.
Bolted him.
So Carl, I need you,
Nice.
if you would like to make an attack of opportunity.
I would love to make an attack of opportunity.
Oh boy.
I would like nothing more than to make an attack of opportunity. This is just their basic melee, right?
Yep.
Alright. Okay.
Whoa.
So I rolled an 18,
Okay.
so that's 24 to hit,
Yep, that's a hit.
1,000,000 to hit.
1.5 million to hit. Is that regular damage or just...
Whatever your weapon damage is.
Alright. 8 plus 4, 12 damage.
Okay. So you cut down the bandit that's going after your friend. And that is their turn. And then Charm kind of looks between the two. I mean, you don't see her because you're in front of her. But she looks at you and you can see her look towards Carl. And she says, "Is there anything you need me to do?"
So as far as I'm concerned, he was in this one pose. He made the strike and the sword came around, so he's now in this other kind of pose, because he's doing his sword forms and stuff like that. And he's just kind of in that mode, and all his diagnostics are showing green, so he doesn't respond at all.
Okay.
But, I mean, it doesn't mean the duck couldn't say anything like, conjure food.
I mean, you know that she has spells and stuff because it's in her profile, but you also note that she has the sharp kitty claws. She does have a scimitar on her belt. And you see on the other side is this like knobby club thing that she's carrying. So she has some weapons if you want her to move in, but it's up to you guys.
Got it. I think Carl would actually respond with a remain calm, companion. Should they pass me, it will fall to you to defend Duck.
Okay.
All right, the defender.
That's good.
Very good. Very nice.
Very nice.
We have to struggle to not make Charm be from Kazakhstan.
Yeah. So it's not Borat and Nick's in the back.
All right, Carl, it is your turn.
Oh, it's my turn again. Okay.
Fuck some
Great.
shit up.
There's one bandit left,
All right.
standing in front of you because this is the one that swung at you and hit but did nothing. He has a slightly hurt foot, but otherwise seems hale.
All right. Cool. If if Carl had a fully functioning esthesiometer, he would probably try an intimidate roll to allow this bandit the opportunity to run. But he's kind of in Terminator mode at this point. So really it's just threat neutralized, one remaining threat. Strike again.
Okay. Roll.
Let's see if hopefully I don't botch this bad boy. Alright. Not the greatest of rolls. It's a 10 to hit.
10 will not quite make it. So even though the bandit's a little off balance with the hurt foot and all, as you take this giant swing with this great weapon, he leaps back towards the entrance, just barely making it out in front of the tip of that blade. It is Duck's turn.
I shall load a bolt, and I'm gonna shoot it at his face.
All right, the bandit is engaged with one of your allies, if that makes a difference for any of your stuff as a rogue.
Oh, it does! I forgot I haven't played a rogue for a minute.
Yeah, so you're still gonna do your attack normally right now, but
Yes.
if it hits, your damage will be increased.
Okay,
Yes.
alright. Oh god. Sorry, bro. I got 9.
Luckily,
not
the bolt doesn't go flying through the opening of the alleyway into the crowd beyond, but it does hit one of the brick walls as you're trying to avoid hitting Carl, but still hitting the bandit, who's moving very quickly out of Carl's way.
God, rude.
And
Don't let me hit you in the face.
bandit's turn. So I'm going to see if he's going to try to run away. All right, so the bandit lunges back in with his scimitar. That is an 21 to hit, Carl.
That'll just barely get there.
Okay. Bing. So we'll do.
I get to modify my hit points, I think, because he hit me.
All right, so you take 4 slashing damage from his scimitar.
Kick ass. Recorded.
And then Charm says, "Are you still good?"
Remain calm, Charm. Everything is under control.
Okay.
Well, all right, Dane.
And it is Carl's turn.
Charm is awesome. Because the sword forms that Carl uses hold the great sword in one hand, but it's always the kind of swing that you bring around with the flourish, and for the actual strike, you wield it with 2, because it's a 2-handed weapon.
Yes.
And it tends to switch from backhand to forehand kind of situation. So it comes from the back and swings around and comes down with great force with both hands.
We'll see.
Fancy.
I mean, it comes down with great
Right.
force with both hands. Whether or not it hits the guy, that remains to
find
be
out.
seen. No.
Oh,
It's a nat 1.
shit.
It's a 1.
Is that our first one of the...
That's our first one of the game. Bah, 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 bah.
All right.
Oh, there's going to be a prize.
Oh, dear.
So maybe it's a side effect of your dimensional travels. But as you go for the swing, the scales of your sword loosen and come apart slightly and just kind of slap against the side of one of the walls nearby before you kind of like shake your hand a couple times and it reforms back into its sword form.
It turned into a spiked chain in mid-strike, basically.
That could have been real bad.
And that's completely different. And just kind of flopped in a very impotent sort of way.
Yeah, you went limp. Oh, no.
Right, and it is Duck's
It
turn.
happens to every Warforged at some point.
I will...
You see that Carl's having some sort of malfunction currently.
Yes. How far away is this person from me?
He's probably about 10-15 feet away from you.
Oh, so I could run up and stab him in the face.
You could do. There are caltrops, but you just make a save to move around them.
What would my save be?
It's a dexterity saving
Oh,
throw.
let's do that.
Okay.
True, the DC check is 15.
Okay, so 12.
Okay, you take 1 piercing damage from caltrops
Okay.
as you move into the area,
Okay.
but then you can roll your attack now.
Okay, so I get past those, okay? And then I can try and
Yep.
stab him with
Did you
my...
take 1 piercing damage from the Legos.
That's on my hit points?
Yeah.
Alright. 20.
Okay. Yeah, that's a hit.
A gentleman's 20.
Yes.
What's the gentleman's 20?
When it adds up to 20 instead of just rolling 20 on the
What's
die.
a lady's 20?
That's up to you.
That's up, yeah. I don't know that we've covered
That could be a crit if you want.
That could be. The queen's 20.
The queen's 20.
Oh, yeah, let's do the queen's 20.
He's still engaged by your companion, though, if you're doing your sneak attack damage.
Oh, yes. Alright, so 12?
Okay. So yeah, Carl's flicking this floppy sword around, and you run up past him, ow, on the caltrops, and just go up and stab this bandit who's hell-bent on taking you guys down and not running away for whatever reason.
Weirdo.
And as you do that, you look around, and you can see, like, kind of in the distance, like, the shapes of other humanoids, like, running off, scattering, when it looks like this isn't working to their advantage. Maybe that there were backups that would have come into the alley. So it looks like, at this point, that everything is clear. And things kind of go back to their pleasant springiness that they were before. You have completed this encounter. Is there anything you'd like to do before you leave the alley and move on with your quest?
I want to kind of go through their robes and stuff.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
And specifically, I want to, like, kind of check out that bony bitch.
Yeah.
See what's up with her.
So you...
I just feel like I'd be really curious about it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you definitely know some sort of weird magic was used there, but you're not seeing much sign of it. But amongst her items, you do note that she had some decent belt pouches with some things in there. So in her belt pouches, you find a potion of healing,
Okay.
10 gold pieces,
Okay.
and the bones of 4 of her toes that look like they have fallen off at some point, and she kept them because you think perhaps she was once rather attached to them.
I'm probably going to keep those. Those sound pretty exciting. I might try and eat one.
Should absolutely hang on to those.
So 10 gold? So
And a potion of healing.
I will... So the term is our employee.
Yeah, she's an intern.
So are we paying her? Like, how does that work?
She is an intern of Acquisitions Incorporated.
Oh, so they pay her.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Well, you're not sure if she's a paid intern or
Okay.
not, but yes. But you're not required to pay her. That's not the expectation.
okay, then I'll split the gold with my homeboy.
All right. So you each have 5
Nice.
gold pieces
that's cool.
added to your gold inventory.
I know. And can he use a healing potion?
He can use potions,
Okay.
just like other humanoids can.
I'll give that to him too, just because it seems like he's going to take more damage than I am.
Okay.
Nice.
But I'm keeping the toe bones.
Fair enough.
I'll try to scan the potion to see if it has any effect. Like perhaps there's some sort of potion deployment kind of thing or whatever. Or maybe you just have to smash it into your face. Who knows?
let that be how it
he
works.
doesn't know how this works. He understands on a fundamental level what it does.
Right.
But he doesn't know how it incorporates into his particular system. He has to scan it.
So scanning it, you get the idea that given time, you could probably learn to incorporate it in a more intrinsic sort of way. But for now, until you have time to do that, smashing it upon oneself is the best method to get it onto your hurt parts.
Which is just phenomenal. You just take it out of your pouch and smash it against you.
No, that's
and you keep
amazing.
fighting. That's so dope. I'm sorry, that is just so cool. You don't chug it or anything.
Yeah.
Just take it out and smash it against your chest and you're like, bring it. That's really cool. Right, yeah. Maybe you make like a barbarian-esque kind of battle cry.
Yep.
Added to the inventory, I added 5 gold. First of all, I'm going to recoil my greatsword. So this time, willingly, it falls into a spiked chain sort of configuration. And it recoils back into my forearm, chink, 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 and the compartment in my forearm closes, whoosh, and now he's just basically not carrying any weapons, it would seem. And then I need to reload my caltrop deployment compartment with
Yeah, do you have to pick all those things up every time?
No, I don't think he would do that. He just has
Just leaving them in the alley.
some caltrops.
Danger alley.
Like I said, unless there's any kind of external indicator where he's reloading his thing and then closing the compartment while the others are just sitting there, unless someone he gives a shit about is like, you're just gonna leave those there? What if a kid runs through the alley or something? It does not even register. He doesn't even notice. He has no idea that that's even a concern.
Right.
Due to his burned out esthesiometer.
I don't know if I'll pick him up, but I might just, like, kind of scooch him over to the side.
Sweep him up.
Yeah, I have a little broom I carry just for this.
God damn it, Carl.
Pick up the cat and
You piece
slap
of
her
shit.
so her belt or her tail like bottle brushes and then use it as a broom and sweep it aside.
She's all, ooh, geeky.
Yeah, is that on her page? Yeah, into a little
Broom. Morphs into broom.
So exiting the alley
Yes.
after defeating this creature and her bandits,
Mm-hmm.
and taking her goods, likely ill-gotten, you continue through the dock ward towards your destination. No one even really seems to look at you in any such way as you leave an alley. It seems like most people are trying to mind their own business in this
Like
area.
New York.
Yeah. So you continue down the street, again past some taverns, some fishmongers and that sort of thing. And as you're walking along, you see an old male human. He's hobbling up the street. He has a long staff. It's bearing most of his weight. He has a wrinkled up old face. It looks like he's lived a lot of hard years in poverty. And he's passing along the other side of the street, and he kind of looks over at you guys, sees you. He gives you a big old grin with only a couple of teeth, like, look at you over there, and he opens his mouth as if he's going to call out to you something across the street, but then you see a pair of meaty gray arms emerge from an alley entrance that he's walking in front of and yank him into the darkness.
What the fuck? Where the fuck are we?
We're in Waterdeep.
Well, I want to go check that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no difference to Carl whatsoever.
So you're
He's
following.
just walking along behind you, and
Yeah.
if you're like, holy shit, that's fucked up, he's like, oh, apparently that's fucked up. Okay. Goes right.
I say, holy shit, that's fucked up. Yeah, and I point like that.
Like, what the fuck?
Go.
Nice.
All right. So, following that way, you can see that the old man has been pulled roughly into an alley by a pair of female humanoids. One is a gray-skinned dwarf. She's wearing scale mail that's black looking, and she has a shield on. That you see is leaned against the wall of the alley because she's not using it right now. She's just grabbing him. And it looks like she's starting to threaten or question him or something like that. The other humanoid is a tall red-skinned woman with curling horns that sprout from her finely coiffed hair. And when she looks up and sees you, she goes, "Meld!" and starts booking it down the other side of the alley. The dwarf woman with the gray skin stops what she's doing, kind of drops the old man, who clatters to the cobbled ground of this alleyway. And she looks up at you and she says, "Only one of us can have him, eh?" And she takes out her weapon.
Jeez. What a bitch.
All right. What would you guys like to do?
You said, holy shit, that's fucked up. They just grabbed that old man. We need to help him,
Yeah.
basically. Right? So that's what I'm operating on.
Okay.
And so when she says, when the dwarf says, like, we'll take him, or you can take him, and it's like, I don't know what's going to happen if you take him, but I know if we take him, he'll be okay. So that's the only way that things can go right now. So it is decided that we will take him, not you. But Carl's going to try to talk to this dwarf and express that emotion, because she says only one of us can have him. So he'll say, give him to us and there will be no trouble. But he doesn't have any weapons out or anything right now yet.
Are you trying to intimidate?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Intimidation 12.
You see it, the dwarven woman's face is set firm as she grips her war hammer, but with you looming in the entrance of the alleyway over her, she seems to lose some of that resolve. She says, look, I just heard he could get us better information. Let me go. I'll leave him alone, at least for now.
Carl will, as the compartment slides open and the links of sharpened chain start to slide out of his wrist with the other hand pointing out at it, he'll nod at her very slightly, as in, let him go and run away. We won't chase you. Or, hang on to him and stand your ground. And
So she already dropped him.
Oh,
yeah.
all right, cool.
So if it looks like you're, nodding her off,
Yeah, it's going to nod in agreement.
she slowly reaches out to grab her shield,
All right.
snags it, turns around and, trundles off down the same way that the tiefling woman ran earlier, the other side of the alley. And the old man looks up at you from where he is on the ground and he grins. Oh, look at this. You're a fine little man, aren't you there?
Yeah. I want to go up to him.
Okay.
As I
Uncomfortably close.
recoil the sharpened links back into my arm. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have an affinity for old people. And I like him, and I'm very curious and touchy-feely.
Right.
And so I'm just like, but I want to know what information they were looking for.
Are you asking him that?
Yeah.
He says, I had stew for breakfast. Did you know that?
I like him.
There's fish in that ocean too. I had fish in my stew.
But what did the dwarf want?
I've seen a lot of dwarves, and sometimes they're taller than you expect.
Can I roll perception to see if I think he's full of shit or if, he's
you
actually...
roll insight, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or insight. I don't know. Well, that's not great. 12.
He doesn't seem to be trying to lie to you or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like a sort of addled old man, like maybe he's not all quite there. And he keeps talking to you about fish and dwarves and stew, and I don't know if you introduced yourself or not, but he's just having a great time talking to you. And then suddenly you can see his face gets really serious, and it's almost like his eyes start to focus, and his voice changes, and he says, their plans are afoot. Their staff are ready. The balance sheets are totaled, and the total is grim. They mean to bring an end to all things. You must seek the magic. Only you can stop them. Only you. And did you know that there's also sometimes squirrels on the roofs? I've seen them up there. It's pretty far.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Meanwhile, Carl is nodding. Yeah, and they're married sometimes, and it's great. Because Carl likes the squirrels, apparently.
Oh, now I feel like Carl's like Lenny. He's like he's like Conan, Iron Giant, Lenny.
Yeah, he's not emotionless and stuff like that. He just
like squirrels.
Just has no way of
Is there any so when he did that, did it seem like he's like sneakily trying to be like, oh, blah blah, blah. Oh, by the way, guys, this is what's really going on. Blah, blah, blah. Or is it like he had a moment of clarity and now he's back in?
Yeah, it seems like he had a moment of clarity or even a vision. Looking at his robes, I'll let you make a perception or investigation, your choice.
Oh, I have a Queen's 20.
Oh, delightful.
It's a Queen's 20. And then you said, I'm going to do investigation, so
Okay.
27.
Yeah.
Tell me everything there is to know about this guy.
Now, at first he just looked kind of like a weathered, kind of tattered, homeless old dude. But looking at his robes, you can see that it's likely he's actually a priest of a deity known for prophecy and foresight and things like that.
Okay.
And it seems that although maybe in his age and in his condition he's not quite all there, he seemed to have a moment of clarity where he was touched by his deity and granted some sort of vision of things to come.
So is it, since we have the druid with us,
Yeah.
is there anything like that as a healer she can do to like kind of help clear his mind up a little bit? Or is that not in their wheelhouse?
Like, let me see what I can do. And so she goes up to him and she like touches his face and he like looks at her and he goes, goose, and touches her head. And her purple eyes glow with lavender light for a moment. And you can see that he sort of seems calm and peaceful. She says, I think it's mostly old age, but I have given him a little bit more comfort, perhaps.
Well, that's nice at least. But so he's not any more clear at all. He's
Right.
just a little more
Yeah,
happy about the squirrels.
yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to do? Carl 14?
No. I mean, you're talking to this dude. I laughed at the squirrel thing. And that's about it, really.
I want to go like put him somewhere, like
Sure.
at an inn or something. Like I don't know if Waterdeep has a convalescent home.
I will let you go ahead and make a roll. I'd be okay with either investigation or religion.
Investigation? 12.
Okay. That's well enough. Since you were able to identify kind of his robes and likely his source, asking around, because you're a very friendly creature,
That's true.
you are able to be pointed to a local temple that seems to be matching in
Okay.
his garb and things like that. And you can see like young priests and priestesses like running out like, oh, Cal, I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing him back to us. He does like to go for walks among the populace.
Can I ask one of them?
Sure.
Kind of like about what he said.
Sure. So you kind of like quote back what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
And just see if they have any idea what.
Say, oh, well, Cal is a powerful seer. It may have damaged some of his normal functions, but if he went into that state, whatever he said will likely come to pass. I would take it as seriously as you can, although it doesn't seem very specific.
And do I feel like they're pretty much telling the truth, or they're
You
not
can roll
being shady?
insight.
I do want to roll insight. I shall roll insight. Oh shit.
Oh, crumb.
Oh crumb. 14.
Yeah, I mean, they seem sincere. They really do seem to like dote on him and treat him very carefully.
Okay.
Like he is valuable. But they thank you profusely. All right, do you move on then?
I think so.
All right. So, continuing down to the location that you're looking for, you spot it. Jolly's Lamp Emporium is an unassuming ramshackle shop in the midst of other unassuming ramshackle shops, including the collapsed warehouse next door that you are supposed to be investigating. You can see the people in the nearby shops are peering warily through their curtains and blinds as you approach, and you can see that there are 3 members of the Waterdeep City Guard standing in front of the collapsed warehouse, seemingly guarding it, waiting for someone to arrive to investigate. A heavily inebriated halfling stumbles down the street past you and gives you a little like wink and a nod as he stumbles by, little pistol hands. And you don't see anyone else on the street otherwise. Just these guards, the drunk halfling, and the people kind of suspiciously peering at you from their windows. The collapsed warehouse looks something like this. So you can see there's a sinkhole that's kind of swallowed the floor of it. They've already connected a way down because, as you know, 2 city guard folk have already been down into the hole to investigate. They just have not come back up.
Right.
And so these 3 are currently standing guard at the site, making sure no one enters who is not appropriate to do so.
Are we going into that shop, or do you want to check that out?
Yeah.
It sounds interesting. I
I
want to go
mean,
there.
couldn't hurt.
The lamp shop?
Yeah. Like I said,
I feel like they wouldn't have mentioned it if there wasn't something.
if it's not like a tactical combat sort of situation, I just kind of follow your lead as far as like, what do you do when you're navigating anything that doesn't involve, you know, smashing or slicing or whatever.
All right. So, taking sort of a turn, not going up to the guards directly, you pop into Jolly's Lamp Emporium. There is a short, very round half-orc standing behind the counter. It's rough-hewn from driftwood, it looks like, or old hulls of ship that were broken down in the dock. And you can see that there are exactly 6 lamps in this lamp shop of various quality.
Oh.
And as you walk in and the bell on the door goes clank, clank, he sort of looks up. He's like, "There's lamps. Maybe you want lamps."
Wow. Are they like, because we're going down in a dark place and I don't have dark vision.
Yeah.
So, is there something that we could take with, like, any appropriate lamps for the place we would be going?
Yeah, of the 6 lamps, it does look like one of them is in decent enough shape that it could be used effectively as a light source.
How much is it?
And so you ask him how much it is.
Well, yeah, is there, like,
and he
price
looks
tags
up
on shit? Or is
and he
it
like thinks about it for a moment. He's like, 5 silver?
I'll be like, how about 3?
All right, just coins and out.
Okay, so we'll give him 3 silver and take the lamp. And is there anything else like around here? Like, kind of, like,
There are now 5 lamps for sale.
yeah, right. Is it like an oil lamp or like what kind of a lamp?
It is an oil lamp, and it does seem to be filled. Like he's like trying to take your coin. He fills it up for you, and he's like, "All right, on your way."
It's a weird place. It's a weird little lamp shop.
Does it have like this lamp? Is it like a lantern or just a lamp? Or like what kind of sort of deal are we looking at?
Genie
here?
lamp?
Yeah, it's like a genie lamp.
Have
or
I
is
seen
it more of
Aladdin?
It's more like lantern we have up front. So it's like a metal and glass contraption where an oil source can be filled at the bottom, and there's a wick that remains lit. And the light shines out through the glass.
Lovely.
Oh. Seeing you purchase this, Carl's going to assess the situation and determine that he's going to need a pole for this lamp. So that you carry it on the end of basically a selfie stick that extends the radius.
Yeah, they're usually like a pole with like a
up
hook
high.
at the end, yeah.
Yeah. So if it doesn't have one already, it's going to say to the shopkeep, "I'm going to need a pole for this."
And he looks up again from the nothing he was doing, and he rolls his eyes a little bit. He goes, "Feather, you find a pole in the back." And you see this little half-elf like pops up from where she was sitting behind the counter. She's like, "Sure, one sec." And she runs into the back, and there's the sound of some things falling and being shuffled and stuff like that. And then she comes back out and she's like, "One of these?" He's like, "Sure." And it looks like what you want. He's like, just
go.
Just get out of here.
and he waves you out of the shop, and she holds out the pole to you.
Cool. I would like to attach the pole to the lamp
Okay.
and carry it. I mean, it's not lit,
Yeah.
But I'll carry it.
Fair.
Because I can elevate it
You
high
guys can make
enough.
a medicine or perception check if you want to.
I'll make a perception check.
9.
So I actually have decent perception. Alright.
Ooh.
That is a 15.
All right. So you do notice that the half-elf woman, apparently named Feather, when she comes out with the pole, and she's going to hand it to you, she does switch it to her other hand before she reaches her arm out. It seems like one of her shoulders doesn't have full range of motion.
Okay. Carl registers this information as data, and it files it away, but otherwise it doesn't make any sort of impact. Whereas a more moral person might go like, oh, they're apparently hurt. Maybe we should help them. Just right over dude's head.
All right. So are you going to go see the guards at the warehouse, or is there something else you'd like to do before you go into the fissure?
Let's go talk to the guards.
All right. So heading out towards the trio, the woman, the elf, moves forward to greet you. It seems that she's the captain based on her badge. And she says, "It certainly took them long enough to send someone here to relieve us. Let's get this done so we can all move on with our day then, shall we?" And she reaches into her kind of side pouch that she has, and there's all these papers in there. And she's like, "Nothing but paperwork and signatures since the newest Mass Lords got seated on the council, but what can you do?" And she pulls out one scroll and opens it and kind of squints, and she says, "Ah, yes." And she turns the paper towards you, whoever wants to take it from her, and she says, "They gave me the names of the whole team that might be coming. They did say it might not be everyone, but like I said, with the paperwork, I do need you to each initial by which ones you are, so we have a record of which adventurers came through from this adventuring party that I've heard so much about. But again, I don't really care, but paperwork, you know?"
Carl will reach out and take it, look at it briefly, and go, "Paperwork." Hand it over to Duck. Hand it over / down to Duck.
Would you like to read it for our listeners? Jessica, or would you like me to read it?
Oh, you.
Would you like me to do so?
Yes.
It does say,
Oh, you.
"The masked lords of Waterdeep do hereby authorize Acquisitions Incorporated to hire a team of experienced and trusted investigators to resolve the issue of the City Watch members lost to the fissure in the Docks Ward. No persons other than the hired investigators shall be permitted to enter the area until the investigation is concluded. The investigators in question may include, attending investigators should initial next to their names, Osgood the Ugly, Carlot Squeaky Wickle, Great Maul McTickleton, Lord Pompey Fugglestruck, Squinty Pip, Mad Hattie Flagon, Flippins Gibberjaw. Upon conclusion of the investigation, this documentation shall be signed by the attending captain of the City Watch of Waterdeep and given unto the investigators that they may present it to the Waterdeep Office of Acquisitions Incorporated to receive payment for services rendered." And then there's a space for the signature of the captain and the seal of Waterdeep.
Lovely.
So this is our quest item.
Right, and she has not signed it. She is asking you simply to initial by which of these adventurers you two are,
All right.
so they can identify which adventurers were here. And those are your options.
Nice. So, none of these guys are here, but I'm here. So, Carl's gonna hold it up in front of him, and his little scanner jewels are going to scan it and assess it and so on. And I'd like to think that they could laser engrave it, kind of like if you ever got a dog collar at PetSmart sort of situation. Instead of signing it with ink and quill or whatever, it's just going to make a little X and a line with Carl 14 printed next to it, and his little stamp of his signature next to it.
All right, so she sees you
So-
do that, and she says, I do understand why you might want to change your name from one of these, but I do need you to initial next to the one that you represent from the official party, granted to be here.
Oh, that
And I'm
we
gonna
represent.
Yeah.
Carl's utterly incapable of lying.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what's
So
going
you're
on
just
here,
gonna
so I'm
hand
gonna
it
take.
over
I'm just gonna kind of
to
dash
Doug.
it like,
He
Carl,
signed
they
it
need
as
your
the-
given name, you know. And I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna pick one, which is gonna be Squinty Pip,
Okay.
which is obviously appropriate.
Yes.
And I'm like, next here's where you sign.
Well, no, you can sign it. I mean,
Well, do I have to X it? Does he have to X his own name?
You can initial
Oh, I'll
for
do
him
that.
if you want.
Like-
Like where you're like, no, this one's silly.
Squinty Pip. Yeah, I'll do that.
Uh-huh.
And
Squinty Pip McDougal balls.
Osgood the Ugly, obviously, I'll look
Okay.
at Charm.
Mhm.
Osgood the Ugly. And Mad Hattie Flagon. Who else could we be?
Very good. I did hear Osgood that, and she turns to Charm, and she says that you were the leader of this fine company. It looks like everything's in order. I'll hang on to this. As soon as your investigation is complete, I'll sign it off and you can be on your way.
Excellent.
So this updates Carl's memory banks in that it's totally okay to lie straight up if it serves your best interests. So this informs his building morality database that he has.
You're welcome.
Now, I do know you
Nothing wrong
are
with that.
investigating this. Did you have any questions before you wanted to head on down, or do you prefer to investigate first?
And it's this chick right here. Let's see.
The hot
It's a
one.
dope ass haircut.
I know.
Right. Into it. What's the deal with their badges? It's the City Watch.
Yep, so it's the seal of Waterdeep, and it says their ranks basically and their last name. So hers says Captain, and it identifies her as Truff on it. And the other two are both listed as just being like private rank, and it says Torval and Bosch.
I don't want to ask her who we're looking for. Like, I know we're looking for members, but I mean, these three look really different. So,
Right.
what are the ones we're looking for look like?
Well, they will. Well, they should, assuming everything is still there, have the tabard that we all wear and their badges. The two that went down were Sergeant Ava Tesh and Constable Yander Boot. So, Tesh and Boot. They went down yesterday to make sure there was nothing dangerous in the hole that opened up and did not return. Rather than sending more watch into the hole, the Masked Lords apparently outsourced the investigation to one of the local adventuring companies. So as far as I'm concerned, I would love to know what happened to our fellows. But the concern of the city is more that there's nothing dangerous left down there that could cause anyone else to have issues.
All right then.
Just so you know, Tesh is a human female. Boot is, Constable Boot is a shorter male human.
So they're both humans.
Yes. I respect Tesh greatly. She's very capable. Boot, I could see getting scared and running into a wall, perhaps, and he's not known for his bravery.
He's no Tesh.
But I'd be surprised if something could have taken Tesh down. She's not likely to be caught unaware.
Okay. Fair enough. Shall we go down in the hole?
Let's go down in the pit.
All right, well, we are to remain here to guard until you find that everything is in order and safe. Besides being a giant gaping hole in the dock ward, obviously. So we shall be here when you return, and we are not allowed to leave or have breaks or rest of any kind until you do so. So I do wish you safe and quick investigation.
She's fun.
And she sort of gestures towards the hole. Like I said, as you can see, there is already rope secured for descending down into it. But that is where we shall halt for this session, going down into the fissure.
Dun dun dun.
We climb into the pit. Everybody, your cell phones in the air. There's a rope down into the pit.
All right. So, thank you so much for getting started into this new adventure. And thank you so much to our patrons. As always, I've been your friendly dungeon master, Rainy. You can find me on Twitter at Barbarian Rainy, or check the description for other places that I hang out on the internets.
I'm Santiago. My links are in the doobly-doo.
I'm Jessica. I don't have links.
We're gonna fix that.
Until next time, everyone, spend your rage wisely.
And make wise moral decisions.